Hey everybody, so a lot I want to talk about today. So I'm trying to think about where to kind of jump into this. Um, I guess I'm keep talking about this idea of the awakening process, and if we're awakening, it kind of implies that we're kind of in a dream state, if you're or sleeping, and and I think that it's a proper metaphor for kind of the mind state that we kind of operate in. Um, so, no, there's this idea of lucid dreaming, where when you're dreaming, you can you can realize that you're dreaming, and in that moment, you can start to kind of control the dream, and fly and do all kinds of awesome things. So, the idea is that you could be having this dream where you're being like chased by a monster or something, and then you have this, you're terrified. It's like eliciting all these negative emotions and feelings in you, and then you have this realization that you're just dreaming, and then that that monster or whatever was chasing you ceases to have any real like effect on you, because you realize it's not real. It's just like this. It's just kind of a projection of your own fears. It's something you're running away from. So I think it's really useful to look at your waking reality in that same regard. So depending on the degree that you are awake, it's like you have to first realize that you're dreaming almost, or that your life and your circumstances will seem out of your control, um, in the old paradigm, which is basically the sleepwalking waking life. Because you don't realize that you can control it. So as you wake up, that's when you realize that you can begin to control your reality. Because basically your reality is nothing more than your thoughts about it. Like, you're living in a world that is based on your thoughts and your ideas and notions. And those thoughts and ideas and notions are based on a fundamental belief system that you have about yourself. And then that is reflected back to you through your circumstances and through your outer world, through your relationships. So all this is about becoming more and more aware, more and more awake, um, to yourself, to the fundamental reality of self. So we come to the world, we come to experience separation, as spirit. Spirit willingly chooses to incarnate and take on separation and forget, so that it can have these experiences and it can thereby know itself and become more aware of itself in these greater degrees. So you are infinite spirit, that it experiencing limitation, experiencing the separateness, the illusion of separateness. So the part of that's the first part. That's the falling asleep part. The spirit falling asleep willingly, because this is the only way that the oneness of being can know itself. It can't know itself in the undifferentiated state. It can only know itself through willingly forgetting and falling asleep and experiencing separation, so that it can have these indifferentiated existence, so that it can have these experiences. And in those experiences, it can learn who it is and who it's not. So this is the idea. You come to the world to learn who you are by being confronted with who you're not. There's this, that's the whole idea of this contrast. So, the idea of there's the world, which is, the world is basically all that's not you as the soul. And so that's how you learn who you are, is that contrast. So anytime you have an experience that is out of resonance with another being, or a circumstance, or a belief that you have about yourself, and you sense that feeling of it being out of resonance, as in it's not, there's a contrast, that's an opportunity for you to learn who you are. So it's okay. You can allow that other thing to have you allow it to be, because it's merely just teaching you, it's refining your definition of yourself and your identity. And our identities are based on what we value, what we hold to be valuable, or what is of worth. And so we're constantly redefining this based on our interactions. We're constantly getting closer and closer to what we value, what we hold, and what is important. And in doing that, we become more and more aware of ourself, our eternal nature. And spirit is the big story. Is that's spirit learning who it is through so it willingly takes on separation. And especially in the human experience of separation, it willingly takes on these kind of dysfunctional patterns of being that come with the experience of separation. Fear, lack, separation, anxiety, depression, frustration, doubt, jealousy. All of these kind of lower vibrational modes of existence, or aspects of that, come from the experience of spirit taking on separation and forgetting and being asleep. But like I said, that's only the first part. The second part is spirit falling asleep and taking on those dysfunctional patterns, and then while being in an incarnation, remembering its divine origins, remembering its true nature, coming and waking up to that, changing all those dysfunctional patterns that it took on. It's almost like an inner alchemy, It's you take the experience of all what forgetting entail, all that suffering, and all those negative belief systems, and that basically hold us back, and really using that as, and honoring that, and using that to be like the sacred fertilizer that this new being, this new way of existing, this new reality. It's like you're transmuting all of that suffering, all those dysfunctional patterns that you willingly took on. You chose to do this, and as you so those patterns dysfunctional patterns that you willingly took on, as you do the inner work to transmute them and to put into place modes of existence that are more in align with your your true nature, your eternal being, you make it easier for other indwelling embodiments of spirit to do the same, to help them also wake up, to help them realize that have they have taken on these patterns, but they're not who they are. So this is that idea of contrast. You know it, you're experiencing this idea of this isn't me, this isn't who I am. So then you use that and you use that to launch you into who you are, who you want to be, who you want to be, so you can manifest that in your life. And so, if you are going through these changes right now and you're realizing that there's these modes of existence that are just outdated, they don't work anymore. They're not who you are. It's like you've evolved beyond it. Inwardly you have moved beyond it. And so I think this is the frustration a lot of people are feeling right now, is because inwardly we're evolving and we're changing and we're expanding, but we're still in the structure. We're still caught up and embedded in the structure of the old reality. We're still like in this weird in between, dreaming and being awake and being lucid. And so there's this frustration of this being kind of stuck in these modes of thinking that aren't really who we want to identify with. They don't have anything to do with our values. So our inward values are shifting, but we're caught up in it. It's almost like if you were like when you were a kid, if you just had the same pair of underwear that you kept wearing and you kept growing, you never got a new pair of underwear, and then it's just be all constricted and it's just it's like it's time to get a new pair of underwear. It's like and that's kind of where I think a lot of people are at right now, is we've outgrown a lot of the structure of how we perceive reality, and then that's reflected in all the various elements of our reality. Our relationships, our jobs, our just daily routines, our diets. All this is all related. So as spirit as spirit within you becomes more awakened, as we shift our identity basically from the old paradigm, which is the ego and its limited way of being, we shift our identity to our eternal being. As we make that shift, we awaken to our creative capabilities. We awaken to the fact that the dream isn't controlling us. We are the dreamer. We are the one doing the dreaming. So in lucid dreaming, what a lot of people say is, basically you have to be careful about what you're thinking, because basically when you become lucid, what you think it instantly manifests. It instantly becomes, so you think of being at a gas station, you're instantly there. If you think so, basically you want to focus on what you want while you're in your lucid dreaming, because you don't want to put yourself in a dreaming situation that you wouldn't want to be in. And that's exactly how you should approach this reality, is that you don't want to focus on your moment to moment reality is reflecting back to you where your focus is and where your attention is and what you're focusing, what you're what you're focusing on. And that's why if you're focusing on what you don't want, you're basically drawing that thing to you. So it's really important as we're awakening to put our focus on these new ways of thinking and being that are coming in, and put our focus on back shift that focus back to being on our eternal nature, and you know, and then we draw more experiences that are reflective of that. You know, we focus on our abundance. We don't focus on what we don't have. You know, in every moment we focus on like on how much abundance is just surrounding us, how abundant we are, and when you do that, you raise your vibration to this vibration of like love and gratitude, you know, of this thankfulness, because you realize like the cup overfloweth, you know, like we are just swimming in abundance. And then when you do that, you realize that you like in every moment, you know, you might have these, you are expanding, and you are growing, and you are, you know, you are this evolving being. But in the same way, since you are infinite awareness, you're perfect in every moment. You are like you're perfectly flawed in every moment, and that allows that allows the progression to go on and on. And endless like self-awareness has no end to it. That's why it's infinite. It's so, you know, so as we make these shifts and as we become more and more, you know, centered in that higher idea of ourselves, we can begin to make we can begin to make these shifts that in our outer realities are that will begin to reflect that. Um, so, and I think like part of the hang up that we're having though is that we are afraid. What we're really afraid of, it's not our darkness that we're really afraid of. It's our light. You know, we're afraid of that possibility that we are infinite, and that it is within that everything is within our capability and our power and our control. Because that takes an enormous amount of responsibility to have that kind of creative power. And so I think a lot of people just aren't ready for it. It's much easier to put it off and be like, it's much easier to be finite, basically. It's much easier than to accept these higher vibrational responsibilities of being a co-creator. Because you can't. It's like you have to do the work. You have to like nobody else is accountable. But it's like you are completely responsible for what you're manifesting. And so yeah, let's see. I think that's good for now. We'll continue perhaps later on today or tomorrow. Again, much love. Namaste. See you soon.